Hi guys, Dennis Fell here with a quick tip on easy and limited palettes. This painting, believe it or not, was painted with just 4 different pigments, or 2 colors, depends on which side of the spectrum you are. I used titanium white, yellow ochre, cadmium red, and ivory black. You see them over here. This part you should ignore because I didn't use those. I just like to put them on my palette because I don't like throwing away paints. With those colors you can mix a tremendous amount of different shades. As you can see here, we even managed to get some greens in there. How do you do that without having a blue? Well, simply by using the ivory black together with the yellow ochre. Imagine a full range of colors which you can create with just these 4 pigments. It creates harmony in the pieces that you paint. But besides that, it's also simple to use. You simplify and therefore you can focus on what you're actually painting. So, especially when you're beginning, I think this is very nice to start with. Now, why is it called the Zorn palette? Because there was a Swedish painter living somewhere in the 19th century who used this palette a lot. He even made a self-portrait with him standing, holding his palette for us to see it. But he's not the inventor of this palette. And the pigments he used were slightly different. For example, he had, instead of the cadmium red, he had vermilion. And instead of the titanium white, it was flake white. And I believe also a different black. But these modern pigments do the job just as fine. Now, as I said, Zorn did not invent this palette because they've been painting with these pigments for a long time, and also with such limited palettes as well. But he was known for the use of it, and he created such beautiful works with it. So I just had to give it a try myself. And for me, I really appreciate the fact that I have just a few colors, which I can mix so many different colors with. And it creates a nice harmony altogether because you have this limited palette. Now, despite the fact that it's a limited palette, don't let it limit you in your creativity. Use it, but also feel free to add colors whenever you feel the need for that, when it just doesn't cut it. Because in the end, it's your piece you're working on, and you need to create something that you feel proud of and happy with. For the darker parts, I like to use a mixture like this, where I basically take the ivory black with some red that creates a very nice, warm, deep brown. And it's also a very opaque color. You're not using any transparent browns like burnt sienna, so you can get a good layer on there. Then I went slightly lighter with the tones by adding some yellow ochre to the mixture. You can play around with this until it meets your needs. Can make a bit warmer browns as well by adding a pinch more red. And cooler colors, of course, are possible by adding whites. For the green shirt, it's a very simple mixture. It's just black with yellow. Then we get a beautiful gray. Can make it darker, make it lighter, depending on which colors you add. Of course, feel free to play around with white. Don't be afraid of the white. You can use quite a bit of white to lighten your colors in this palette. And yes, it is a bit of a muted color palette, what you might create. But have a look at the full harmony of the piece together. Please let me know if this video was helpful or if you have any other questions, as I'm happy to answer them. Happy painting!